Most people never change their life. They just redecorate it. New job, same habits, new year, same excuses, new phone, same 3 hours a night thrown away on nothing. And then they wonder why 5 years go by and everything looks a little different, but nothing actually feels different. Here's what I want to talk to you about today. Working until your old life feels like a stranger's. Not a slightly better version of who you were. A stranger. Somebody whose habits you don't recognize. Somebody whose excuses sound foreign to you now. Let me tell you where I learned this. When I was 25, I was working at Sears, and I was making about $100 a week. I had a family. I had bills. And I had a whole list of reasons why it wasn't my fault. The company didn't pay enough. Prices were too high. Nobody had given me a break. I was very good at explaining why my life looked the way it did. Then I met a man named Earl Schoaf, and he asked me a question that stopped me cold. He said, "Jim, how long have you been working?" I said, "About 6 years." He said, "And how are you doing?" And I told him the truth. Not very well. He didn't argue with me. He didn't feel sorry for me. He just said, "Jim, I don't think that's a problem with the economy. I think that's a problem with you." Now that stung. But then he said the thing that changed everything. He said, "Here's the good news. If it's a problem with you, you can fix it. If it were the economy, you'd be stuck. But it's not the economy. It's you. And you can change." Jot this down. Your life will not change until you become someone your old life doesn't recognize. Not someone with a better plan. Someone different. Different thinking, different disciplines, different standards. Because your old life knows exactly how to keep you. It knows what time you get tired. It knows which excuse you'll reach for. It knows how to make comfortable feel like fine. And unless you become a stranger to all of that, it will pull you right back in. So here's the question I want you to sit with while we talk today. If the person you were 3 years ago walked in the room right now, sat down next to you, and started talking, would you have anything in common anymore? Same complaints? Same habits? Same I'll get to it? Or would you look at him and think, I don't know that man anymore? If you're not sure, that's your answer. And that's why we're here. Here's the first thing most people get wrong. They think their old life is a set of circumstances. The town, the job, the paycheck, the apartment. So they figure if they change the circumstances, they've changed their life. But circumstances don't have habits. People do. You can move to a new city and take your procrastination with you. You can get a raise and take your spending with you. You can meet somebody new and take your excuses with you. I've watched people do it for 40 years. They change the scenery and keep the script. Mr. Schoaf put it to me this way. He said, "Jim, if you took $1 million and handed it to a man who thinks like a broke man, how long before he's broke again?" I said, "I don't know. A few years?" He said, "Faster than that." Because the money doesn't fix the man. And the man is what made him broke. That's the whole thing. Your old life isn't around you. It's inside you. It's the way you talk to yourself at 11 at night. It's what you reach for when you're tired. It's what you call just this once every single week. Jot this down. You are not trying to leave a place. You are trying to leave a person. And that person is you. Let me tell you about a young fellow I knew years ago. Good kid. Worked hard. And every time I saw him, he'd say, "Jim, I'm exhausted." And he was. He wasn't lying. But here's what I noticed. He was exhausted on Friday from a week that hadn't moved him 1 inch closer to anything. Same desk. Same numbers, same complaints on the way home. He was worn out from standing still. I said, "Son, there are 2 kinds of tired. There's the tired you feel from building something, And there's the tired you feel from carrying something you should have put down years ago. He looked at me. I said, you're not tired from the work. You're tired from the weight of not changing. Think about that. Doing the same thing you've always done, with the same excuses you've always had, is not restful. It's heavy. It just doesn't look heavy from the outside, because everybody around you is carrying the same thing. The man who's building a new life gets tired too. But it's a different tired. He goes to sleep at night having moved something. He can point to it. A page written, a call made, a dollar saved, a promise kept. He's tired the way a farmer is tired in October with the harvest in the barn. Which tired are you? Here's something I want you to understand, and I want you to understand it deep. Nobody accidentally becomes a stranger to their old life. Nobody drifts there. You can drift into your old life. You can drift back into it 100 times, but you cannot drift out. Drifting only goes one direction. Downhill toward comfortable, toward familiar, toward the couch and the phone and the I'll start Monday. Getting out takes a decision. And I don't mean a wish. I've met a lot of people who wish. I said to a man once, what are you going to do about your situation? And he said, well, I sure hope things turn around. I said, that's not a plan. That's a prayer with no work attached. A decision is different. A decision means you've cut something off. That's what the word means. To cut. You've cut off the option of staying the same. It's not on the table anymore. You're not going to revisit it every Tuesday when you're tired. Mr. Schaff told me, Jim, the day you decide is the day the change starts. Not the day you see results. Not the day people notice. The day you decide. And he was right. Everything I've built in my life, I can trace back to a decision I made when nothing had changed yet. When I was still broke. When I still had the same job. When nobody would have believed me if I'd said out loud what I was going to do. Jot this down. Results come later. The decision comes now. And most people are waiting for the results before they'll make the decision. That's backwards, and that's why they wait forever. All right, let's get practical. If you're going to become a stranger to your old life, what has to change? Let me give you 5 things, not 50. 5, and I want you to write these down. The first thing is your philosophy. That's a big word for a simple idea. Your philosophy is what you believe about how life works. If you believe you're stuck, you'll act stuck. If you believe the economy decides your income, you'll wait on the economy. If you believe some people are just lucky, you'll spend your life waiting to get lucky. I had to change my philosophy first, before anything else. Mr. Schaff gave me a new one. He said, Jim, your income is determined by your value in the marketplace, and your value is something you can build. I'd never thought of that. I thought my income was determined by Sears. Turns out it was determined by me. Change the belief, and everything downstream starts to move. The second thing is your input. What goes in your head every day? Most people don't manage this at all. Whatever's on, that's what they watch. Whoever's talking, that's what they hear. Whatever's trending, that's what they think about. And then they wonder why they think the way they've always thought. You can't get new results from old input. You have to feed your mind on purpose. Read something that stretches you. Listen to somebody who's ahead of you. Turn off the noise that's been programming you for years. Your old life had a diet. Your new life needs a different one. The third thing is your disciplines, not motivation. Disciplines, motivation is a feeling. Disciplines are things you do whether you feel like it or not. Get up when the alarm goes off. Read the 20 pages. Make the calls. Save the 10%. Do it on the day you feel great, and do it on the day you'd rather not. And after a while, the disciplines become the person. The fourth thing is your associations. Who you spend time with. This one's uncomfortable, so most people skip it. But I'll tell you the truth. You cannot become a stranger to your old life while surrounded by people who are still living it. They will pull you back. Not because they're bad, because that's what familiar does. Familiar reaches out and says, come sit down. Stay a while. You don't have to be different tonight. I had to change some of my associations. Not all. Some I had to spend less time with people who were going nowhere and more time with people who were going somewhere. And I'll be honest with you, that cost me a few friendships. It also gave me a life. And the fifth thing is your standards, what you'll accept from yourself. Your old life had low standards. It let you off the hook. It said you've had a long day, you deserve to skip it. Your new life can't run on those standards. It needs new ones. Standards that say I don't break promises to myself. Not the big ones and not the small ones. Philosophy, input, disciplines, associations, standards. Change those 5 and I promise you in a year you will not recognize the person you were. Let me tell you what this actually feels like from the inside. Because it doesn't feel the way people expect. People think transformation feels like a lightning bolt. One day you wake up and you're new. It doesn't happen that way. Not for me. Not for anybody I've ever met. What happens is this. You start doing the disciplines. Reading, working, saving, showing up. And for the first few weeks, nothing feels different. You feel like the same person doing new things. That's the hard part. That's where most people quit, because it feels like pretending. Then a few months in, something small happens. Somebody offers you the old excuse, and you notice it. You hear it come out of their mouth, and you think, that used to sound reasonable to me. That's the first crack. Then a few months after that, you catch yourself doing something the old you would never have done. Turning down something easy for something important. Getting up on a Saturday to work on the thing. Saying no to somebody without apologizing for it. And you stop for a second and think, who is this? That's the moment. That's when your old life starts to feel like a stranger's. Not because you forgot it. Because you can't imagine living in it anymore. It fits like a coat, 2 sizes too small. I remember the day it happened to me. I was standing in a bookstore, and I realized I'd been there for over an hour, reading on purpose, on a Saturday. And I thought about the man who worked at Sears and complained about the economy, and I couldn't find him anymore. He was gone. I didn't fight him out. I just outgrew him. Jot this down. You don't defeat your old life. You outgrow it. And you outgrow it one ordinary day at a time. I want to be honest with you now, because I respect you too much to leave this part out. Becoming a stranger to your old life costs something. It's not free. And anybody who tells you it's free is selling something. Here's what it costs. It costs comfort. The 3 hours a night you used to spend on nothing, some of those hours have to go. Not all of them. But some. And in the beginning, giving them up feels like a loss because you haven't seen what they buy yet. It costs some relationships. I told you that already, but I'll say it again because people don't want to hear it. Some of the people in your life are only comfortable with you at your current size. When you grow, they feel it. And some of them will try to talk you back down. Not out of malice, out of habit. It costs your excuses. And I know that sounds like a gift, but it doesn't feel like one at first. Your excuses were a warm place. They explained everything. It's the economy. It's my boss. It's how I was raised. When you give those up, you're standing there with nothing to blame and everything on you. That's heavy at first. It's also the only place power comes from. And it costs your old identity. The struggler, the one who's trying, the one people feel a little sorry for. There's comfort in that identity. People expect less. You get sympathy. You get to say, at least I'm trying, without ever finishing anything. Letting that go means people are going to start expecting things from you. And so are you. Now here's the other side of the ledger. And I want you to write this down, because it's the most important sentence in this whole talk. Jot this down. Staying the same also costs something. It just sends the bill later. You pay for change now in discomfort. You pay for staying the same later in regret. But you pay either way. There is no free option. There is no version of your life where you neither change nor pay. 10 years from now, you're going to hand somebody a bill. The only question is whether it's the bill for what you built or the bill for what you didn't. Let me give you a picture that helped me. I grew up around farms, so this one always made sense to me. A farmer doesn't get a harvest by wanting one. He doesn't get it by planning one. He doesn't get it by talking about how much he'd like a harvest this year. He gets it by planting in spring when there's nothing to show for it, and working through summer when it's hot and nobody's watching. And then in fall, the field is full and everybody says, well, look how lucky he is. He wasn't lucky. He was early. He was out there in April when the field was bare. Your new life works the same way. You have to plant when there's nothing to see. You have to work through the season when it feels like nothing's growing. And that's exactly the season most people quit, because they can't see anything above the ground yet. But here's what I learned. Everything's happening under the ground. The roots are going down. The disciplines are turning into character. The reading is turning into thinking. The small wins are turning into self-trust. You can't see any of it. And then one day, all at once, it's above the ground and everybody says, when did that happen? It happened in April, when you were the only one who believed there'd be a harvest. Once you start to become this new person, you have to protect it. And I mean protect it like it's worth something. Because it is. Your old life will come back for you. Not with a dramatic fight, with a whisper. It'll say, you've done enough this week. It'll say, one night off won't hurt. It'll say, you're being too hard on yourself. And here's the tricky part. Sometimes that voice is right. Rest is real. But most of the time, if you're honest, you know the difference between rest and retreat. Protect your mornings. How you start the day sets the direction for the whole thing. Give your old life the first hour, and it'll take the next 23. Protect your input. Don't let the same old noise back in the door because you're tired. Tired is exactly when the old programming works best. Protect your associations. Spend your best hours with people who are building. Save the rest for everyone else. And protect how you talk to yourself. The old you had a voice, and it was not kind. It said, you always quit. It said, this is just how you are. The new you needs a different voice. One that says, I missed a day. I'll get it tomorrow. One that says, that's evidence, not a verdict. Jot this down. Growth is fragile early. Guard it the way you'd guard a seedling. Not forever, just long enough for the roots to take. The 90-day test let me give you something you can measure. Because I've found that people do better with a finish line they can see. 90 days. 3 months. That's long enough for the disciplines to start turning into habits, and short enough that you can't hide from it. Anybody can say someday. 90 days has a date on it. Here's what I want you to do. Pick the date 90 days from today. Write it down. And then ask yourself one question. On that date, what has to be true for me to say I'm not the same man? Not I feel different. Feelings lie. What has to be true? How many books read? How many mornings started on time? How much saved? How many promises kept? Write it down where you can see it. I did this once when I was starting out. Mr. Schaff said, Jim, I don't want to hear what you're going to do this year. I want to hear what you're going to do in the next 90 days. I said, why 90? He said, because a year is far enough away that you'll lie to yourself. 90 days is close enough that you'll have to tell the truth. He was right. In 90 days, I'd read 4 books, cleaned up my finances, changed my mornings, and stopped saying half the things I used to say. Was my life fixed? No, but I wasn't the same man. And that's all the first 90 days has to do. Make you not the same man. Jot this down. You don't need a new life in 90 days. You need a new person. The life catches up. Now here's an uncomfortable exercise, and I want you to actually do it, not just listen to it. Take a piece of paper. Write down every reason your life isn't where you want it to be. Every one. Don't edit. Don't clean it up. Write down the ones you say to other people, and write down the ones you only say to yourself at night. The economy, my boss, my background, my age, my health, my family. Nobody helped me. I never got the break. I'm not that kind of person. It's too late. Write them all down. Now look at the list. Here's what I want you to notice. That list is your old life talking. Every single line on it is a reason to stay exactly where you are. And I'll tell you something else. That list has been running your life. Not you. The list. Now I want you to go down that list one line at a time, and next to each excuse write one thing you could do about it. Just one, not a full plan. One thing. The economy. One thing. Get more valuable in a way the economy can't touch. My boss. One thing, build a skill that makes the boss optional. My age. One thing, I knew a woman who started her business at 61, so that one's not going to hold up. It's too late. One thing, too late compared to what? You're alive. You've got today. You'll find that every excuse on that list has a door in it. A small one, but it's there. Your old life put those excuses up like walls. Your new life walks through them one at a time. Jot this down. An excuse is a wall your old self built. Every one of them has a door. You just never looked for it, because looking meant you'd have to walk through. I want to talk about something nobody warns you about, because it stops more people than anything else. When you start living like the new person before you feel like the new person, it feels fake. You get up early and part of you says, who do you think you are? You turn down the easy thing and part of you says, you're not that disciplined, you're just showing off. You read the book and part of you says, you won't finish it, you never do. That voice is your old life. And it's not lying exactly, it's describing who you were. It just doesn't know that who you were is not who you're going to be. Here's what I learned. Everybody who ever changed felt like they were pretending at first. Everyone. The man who becomes disciplined feels like a fraud for the first month. The woman who starts saving feels like she's playing pretend. Because the new behavior comes before the new identity. It always does. You act your way into it. You don't feel your way into it. Mr. Schaff said, Jim, do the disciplines of a successful man for 1 year, and at the end of the year, you'll be one. Not because you faked it, because that's what a successful man is. A man who does those disciplines. So when it feels like pretending, keep going. That feeling isn't a warning. It's a sign you've left home. Nobody feels like a stranger to their old life on the first day. You feel like a stranger somewhere around day 90, when you look back and realize you can't remember what the old excuses even felt like. Let me tell you about the bank account nobody talks about. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you make a deposit. Every time you break one, you make a withdrawal. And that account is called self-trust. It's the most important account you'll ever have, and most people are overdrawn. Think about it. You've told yourself 100 times, tomorrow I'll start. And you didn't. That's 100 withdrawals. And then you wonder why you don't believe yourself when you say it the 101st time. Why would you? You've got a track record. But here's the good news. The account can be rebuilt, and it rebuilds fast. Not with big promises, with small ones. Say you'll read 10 pages and read 10. Say you'll get up at 6 and get up at 6. Say you'll make the call and make it. Little deposits. Every day. I watched a man rebuild his whole life this way. He'd been overdrawn for years. Couldn't trust himself to do anything, he said. So he started small, ridiculously small. He said, I'll make my bed every morning. That's it. And he did. 30 days straight. And then he said, I'll walk 20 minutes. And he did. Then I'll save $50 a week. And he did. A year later, he'd started a business. Not because making the bed made him a businessman. Because keeping his word to himself, one small promise at a time, made him a man who could be trusted with a bigger promise. Him trusting him. That's where it starts. Jot this down. Your old life is a man you can't trust. Your new life is a man you can. And trust is built the same way with yourself as it is with anybody else. One kept word at a time. There's one more thing you'll run into, and I want you ready for it, because it catches people off guard. The people who knew you before are going to be the last ones to see the change. Your family, your old friends, the people at work who've watched you for 10 years. They've got a picture of you in their heads, and they're not going to update it just because you started getting up early. They'll say things like, since when do you read? They'll say, you're going to quit that in a month like everything else. They'll say, who are you trying to impress? And some of them won't say anything at all. They'll just watch you with that look that says, we'll see. Here's what I want you to understand about that. It's not personal. They're not against you. They just knew the old you a lot longer than they've known the new one. And the old you had a long track record. Give them time. Don't argue with them. Don't try to convince them. Just keep going. Because here's what happens. Somewhere around 6 months in, one of them is going to pull you aside and say, something's different about you. And you'll say, what do you mean? And they won't be able to put a finger on it. But they'll feel it. And a while after that, one of them is going to ask you how you did it. That's when you'll know. Not when you feel different. When the people who knew you before can't find the old you anymore either. Jot this down. Don't wait for anybody's permission to change. And don't wait for anybody's approval to keep going. The people who matter will catch up. The ones who weren't going where you're going anyway. One more warning and then I'll close. When you start to change, you're going to want to check the mirror. Every week you'll want to see if it's working. Am I different yet? Do people notice? Is anything happening? Don't do that. Not yet. The farmer doesn't dig up the seed every week to see if it's growing. If he did, it wouldn't grow. He plants, he waters, he waits, and he trusts the process he can't see. You do the same. Do the disciplines. Keep the small promises. Guard the input. Watch the associations. And don't audit yourself every 7 days. Give it a season. Give it 90 days. Then look. Because if you look too soon, you'll see nothing and you'll quit. And you'll quit 2 weeks before the first shoot broke the ground. I've seen it 100 times. People stop in the last mile because they were staring at their feet instead of at the road. Trust the season. That's what the men and women who make it all have in common. Not talent, not luck. They planted and then they let it grow. What your old self would say, let me leave you with a picture. Imagine the person you were 1 year ago got to sit and watch you for a day. Not judge, just watch. If you've been doing the work, that person would be stunned. He'd see you get up early and think, I never did that. He'd see you turn down the easy thing and think, I never did that either. He'd see you keep a promise nobody was checking on and think, where did this come from? But if you've been standing still, that person wouldn't be surprised at all. He'd recognize everything. The excuses, the habits, the next month. He'd feel right at home. And I'll tell you something. That's the saddest outcome I know of. Not failure, recognition, being exactly who you were, with a slightly older face. You get to choose which one of those stories comes true. And you don't choose it once. You choose it tonight, when the alarm's set and you decide whether you're really getting up. You choose it tomorrow, when the easy thing and the important thing are both in front of you. You choose it 1,000 small times, and the choices add up to a person. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not Monday. Today, first decide, not wish. Decide, say it out loud if you have to. I'm done being who I've been. Cut off the option of staying the same. Second, pick one discipline, just one. Reading 20 pages, getting up an hour earlier, saving 10%. Pick one and do it every day for 30 days without negotiating. Third, look at your input. What's going in your head every day? Cut one thing that's feeding the old you. Add one thing that feeds the new you. Fourth, look at your associations. Who are you spending your best hours with? Are they going somewhere? If not, spend less time. Spend more with someone who is. And fifth, raise your standard. Decide what you will no longer accept from yourself. Then hold the line, especially on the days nobody would know if you didn't. Do that, and I promise you, 1 year from now, you will look back at the person listening to this right now, and you will not know him. His problems will seem small. His excuses will sound like a foreign language. His whole life will feel like something you read about once, not something you lived. That's the goal. Not a better version of your old life. A life so different that your old life is a stranger's. Mr. Schaff told me something the last time I saw him. He said, Jim, don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. I've never forgotten it. And I'll add one thing to it from my own 40 years since. Don't wish for a new life. Become someone your old life can't hold on to. You've got the same 24 hours today that you had yesterday. Same job, same bills, same face in the mirror. Nothing outside you has changed since you started listening to this. But something inside might have. And that's the only place it ever starts. So don't close this and go back to the same night you've had 100 times. Do one thing before you sleep that the old you wouldn't have done. Just one. Then do it again tomorrow. That's how strangers are made. Now go to work.